everyone. Welcome to the Small Business Summer Series. I'm here with Justine Hernandez and James Ellen. Give him a round of applause. Let's start with you, James. Let's talk about how you started your journey and kind of where you ended up and stuff like that. We'll come back to it later, but we'll talk briefly about it now.
You want to start back?
Go back, dude.
Okay.
Way back.
Well, I should probably say what I do now.
Yeah.
To give it some context.
Okay.
I'm the merchandise director for Golden Voice Festivals. I do Coachella, Stagecoach. We're doing Pasadena Daydream in about a month.
That reminds me, I need to get put on the guest list for that.
Okay, yeah. Send me a note.
For the Cure?
Yeah, for the Cure.
Okay,
Cure,
yeah.
Pixies,
Thanks for reminding me.
Deftones.
Okay, thanks.
So I kind of fell into this job about 8 years ago now, but I come from a background of working.
You and I have a lot in common, first of all.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways, we're intertwined.
Well, yeah.
Go on. Yeah,
because
go on.
we both came out of the hardcore scene.
Right. Go back. Take us
So
back.
anyway, I have a lot of retail experience. That's where I started.
Where?
At Prada.
Don't be afraid, dude.
Oscar de la Renta and Miu Miu and Brooks Brothers. So worked in a lot of places
Wait a
like
minute.
that.
Did you say Brooks Brothers?
Yeah, I worked
didn't
at
know
Brooks
that
Brothers.
about you, dude.
Yeah.
So when you go to a wedding, he must look really good.
No,
right?
I all that stuff's gone.
Okay, sorry.
All
go
that
on.
stuff's gone.
Are you the guy wearing like the seersucker everything with like no socks?
No, but I will be.
Okay.
I'm down to do that. But I've always been like really into music, part-time DJ, been in a few bands, and ended up moving to LA to pursue a job in A&R. Like that was my dream. I wanted to sign bands. I wanted to find bands. I wanted to develop talent. And sort of that was running parallel with a career in retail. That was just kind of strange. It did both. And I ended up ditching retail for a while to go full on. I was scouting for DreamWorks Records and then was doing A&R for...
What year was that?
Gosh, that was...
Was that when The Chronic was out, like 92?
No,
You're
it
not
was,
that old.
It was not that old. It was like 2000,
Okay.
2001, in that neighborhood. And then 2 years later, ended up at Revelation Records in Orange County, signing
right.
bands, fully running the label operation.
2000-ish. That was a big time for them.
Yeah, we did really well. And then left that, got a little... I don't know, it just wasn't as fun as I had hoped it was going to be, right? Like, it was just a lot more work. Like, in your head, you're like, oh, I'm going to shows every night, it's going to be great. But you just get burnt out on that pretty quick. So I ended up back in retail.
Were you in LA this whole time?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I moved to LA 2000, like right at the end of 2000. So ended up like bouncing around, random jobs. Ended up doing project management for a guy who owns bars and restaurants in LA, El Carmen being one of them, Sean McPherson. And found out we were pregnant with my daughter, and hit up a friend who was at Coachella and was like, hey, do you have anything going on? And he's like, I have the perfect thing for you. And he's like, it's running all of our merchandise. Because it kind of tied together all the experience I had in project management, working in music, and
you did a little bit of that before Coachella, right?
Merchandising?
Didn't you like do some production or something like that?
I worked for Mighty Fine.
Okay.
But that was more of a warehouse gig. And just, but I learned a lot, actually.
But it sounds good.
It sounds good. I learned a lot at that job, just observing and paying attention. Yeah, it's a big operation. And, you know, I saw how the workflow went from order coming in, cutting, sewing, screen printing, shipping, to the final product. So I was able to pick up quite a bit that at the time I hadn't realized I was picking up. So that was sort of my journey. And so I've been at Coachella now this was my 7th Coachella, my 8th year. And it's a pretty big project. I mean, I know this is a small business forum, but like I deal with a lot of like big business problems at the same time, you know? Yeah. We sort of run, Golden Voice is an old family business, so it's sort of run that way with a lot of big business problems, right? Takes forever to get paid. You know this. I've worked with you on things. Everything that you think is going to happen quickly just doesn't.
Right.
So that's sort of my journey to where I am now.
Cool. Well, we'll go back. We'll talk more about some stuff with you in a minute. We're going to go over here. Justine. Take this.
Right. It's a very impressive career. I just want to say that. I was enthralled. I was like, then what happened?
Where do we start? Because you know what's interesting? I know a lot of people that I interview, but we don't really know each other that well.
We don't at
yet.
all. Yeah.
Now we're cool.
Yeah,
but,
we're chill.
So you grew up in Echo Park.
I grew up in Echo Park, yeah.
And then kind of fill us in like the last however many years leading to now.
Yeah, I worked in service only on Sunset. I worked at like Tantra and El Chavo, and I just had a really good time in my 20s. And El Chavo closed, and El Chavo was like this incredible spot that was like a community haven for like locals. It was really inexpensive, and it was great. Okay.
There you
go. Yeah, and it closed, and I was like, damn, what am I gonna do? Like, I gotta do something. And a boyfriend at the time was like, you like baking, why don't you try baking? And I was like, that's like a hobby. It's something fun I do with my family. I come from a huge family of women, and we're very competitive. Every year we do like...
Tamales are probably intense around Christmas time.
We're also Polish and like Italian. Like we're
a Polish
mutts.
tamale?
Does that exist? Yeah, that's a pierogi. Exactly.
Okay,
but yeah, it just kind of, started, and then I became like really obsessed. And baking, I don't know if you know this, but like you bake in the wee hours. So you're like 12 to like 9 in the morning, like it's the middle of the night. So
where were you doing this, at home, or did you get a kitchen or co-op?
No, I started working at Sawyer. It's in Kettle Black. I was their first pastry chef. And Sawyer was actually the first job. It used to be called Tantra, and I was working there in 9th grade. So I was their hostess. So when I went back there, it was kind of like this weird full circle of like, I'm back here, and now, I'm doing something a little bit more grown up. But
that's actually pretty amazing.
Yeah, isn't that weird?
How many years later was that?
Let's see, I'm 29. I started 4 years ago, so I don't know, 10 years later or something like that.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was weird.
So you started out as a hostess, and then you went back there 10 years later.
Yeah.
And were their first pastry chef.
Yeah. I was their hostess,
Amazing.
Bartender when I was in high school. I did all kinds of things there. So I really got to see
learned
that
the
place.
business.
Yeah, I learned the business. And I continued there, and I started when I started pastry chefing at Sawyer, our president was elected, and it freaked everyone out. Like literally people were crying in our kitchen, just crying. And I was like, you know what? I mean, I love pastries, but like this is a huge environmental thing. Like we're using eggs, if you mess something up, you're tossing it out. So I kind of started like dabbling in vegan baking, just kind of seeing, what I could do with it.
And the name of your business, real quick, for people that don't know, is?
Oh, it's Just What I Needed.
And it's spelled with the K and
It's spelled with the K. It's like the Cars song meets a pun. It's all together. Yeah, just what I needed. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. My journey. Okay, so now I'm...
So 10 years later you're there, and then you have a gigantic, to me, not only do you have a good social following, but it's like a genuine interactive following. It's like people really want to know what you're making. So do you now, from there to now, do you deliver? How have people found out about your product? Is it word of mouth? Is it like you're going to parties? Are you making cakes? Like, what are you doing now?
It's mainly Instagram. Honestly, it started kind of word of mouth. I started baking out of my house and selling to different places in Highland Park. I started at Little Ripper in Glassell Park, and then I did K&M, which is in Highland Park. Both women-owned businesses, super supportive, really rad. Didn't care I didn't have a kitchen. They're like, girl, just do your thing. And then eventually people started, I did more videos kind of talking about what I wanted to do, and I outgrew my kitchen, and I needed help. So I started a Kickstarter and was so surprised at how many people were like supportive, interested, donating, excited,
That's awesome. Okay. Before I go back to James, this is interesting. Did you plan the Kickstarter? Like, how much planning went into that?
I mean,
did you say, okay, we need to make X amount of money and we're going to do this many things beforehand, or did you just go and do it? Because I think there's this, most people don't make money on that platform, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I have a friend who like broke up with his girlfriend, and he's like, I have a Kickstarter because I need to move out. It's just like, they take advantage of the platform. So
Totally.
you have family. You're based in LA. You're born and raised, right?
Yeah.
You've got all these people that you know. You use what? Instagram, phone calls, emails. How'd you do it?
I didn't do any phone calls, which somebody said you're going to have to do a lot of phone calls, which really scared me. But you know what? Honestly, I did a lot of pop-ups. I did a lot of engaging. I wanted to do only 10 grand because I didn't think I would even make 5.
So you plan to do pop-ups leading up to your before or during?
During.
Okay.
So
that's interesting.
Yeah, like during the whole time, I was like, "There's no way I'm gonna make 30 grand."
That's rad.
And honestly, even 30 grand, I was like, I'm not gonna ask for that. And all these women who own businesses, like, you have to ask for 30. Like 30 is not even enough. And like, just try. And I was like, all right, you know what? I have nothing to lose. I don't come from money. I don't have any, whatever. I'm just gonna do it. And I did all these weird pop-ups and like tried making burritos. I mean, I did like a bunch of weird stuff.
Where?
Like, and it was at
Where did
K&M.
you show up?
Yeah,
Okay.
Kindness and Mischief mostly. I did Little Ripper. Literally any person that would have me, like, kind of popping up, I would make everything out of my kitchen all night long.
So would you show up with like a little table up front, or did they let you come in? Okay.
Yeah, I would table.
Did you make
up
flyers? I'm trying to just really
help people how to do it.
People need to understand how. That's a gigantic. Like what you did is pretty impressive, and so most people don't understand how to do that.
Yeah.
So did you have flyers there? Were people talking about it? Did you? You used Instagram to get them their day of, obviously, right? But
yeah.
Okay.
Honestly, I think it was my social engagement.
Okay.
I think it was talking to people normally, telling them my story, and like sometimes I had flyers. Honestly, I had like maybe 3 hours of sleep on average for like an entire year, so it's kind of a blur. I mean, I don't know if you know anything about this, but like I only raised 10 grand and I had 3 days, and my whole family was like, "Oh, good try. It's so nice of you." And then in 3 hours, it was like 1,000, 5,000. I was like, who are these people? And a lot of them were strangers. A lot of them were just people who were like, we support you. And the whole time I had on Instagram just being like, oh my God, this is actually going to happen? Like, I was so genuinely surprised. It was, I don't know. It's just.
Wow. Yeah. That's incredible. Okay, so you raised 30 grand.
Mm.
Now, what does that buy you?
I mean, it went by fast.
What do you buy with 30 grand? Why was 30 grand the number?
Because that's what I thought that the most I could possibly ask for. At that point, I had no confidence. I was like, who cares about vegan? Who cares about me? Who cares about anything that I'm doing? I don't have a huge ego, so I was very like, kind of scared. And I was new to the restaurant industry. I didn't know what it took to like actually start a brick and mortar, what it meant to pay rent when you're not making any money.
When was this, by the way?
This is like 1 year ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now the point is you're going to try to do a brick and mortar.
I am doing a brick and mortar.
With with whatever's left of the 30,000.
That was a helpful. That gave me the confidence to kind of get more investment and like get smarter and like basically learn on my feet. I had the 30 grand and I was like, yeah. And then all of a sudden I was like, oh, I have to give everybody prizes now. Okay. And then there's the taxes on Kickstarter. Right. Okay, and then
a lot of what happens on Kickstarter is you offer them a package.
Yes.
Which was what?
T-shirts. We had like these cool little mugs.
Okay.
Cookbook. I mean, name on the menu. That was really popular one.
How much was that?
I think it was $1,000. So it's like my mom and a couple famous people, which is cool.
That would have been fun.
Yeah, I mean, it started us off. So I had to partner with somebody.
Well, let's go. Okay, so I'm gonna go that real quick, but specifically for advice for Kickstarter.
Yes.
Because I feel like there's hundreds of thousands of people that think it's just some free money.
Yeah.
What advice do you give someone right now, based off your experience?
Social engagement, updates, talking into the camera.
Videos.
This is what I want to do. This is why I want to do it. Showing. This is what I want. Like really. Showing people what it is that you want to do and why. And I think it eventually gets people like, oh, cool, I'm excited for that person. Show the passion, show the ups and downs, which I felt was really important. It was like, yeah, this is not easy. And I don't know if I'll make it, but that's okay. It's part of learning all of this. You don't know.
Well, what I'm gathering from this is you took people on a journey, which you probably didn't realize you were doing.
Yeah, definitely did.
And I think a lot of entrepreneurs try to go on a hero journey, and you actually made the customer the hero by sharing your obstacles.
Yeah.
Which I think is huge. Versus hey, I'm the hero, give me $30,000, right?
Yeah.
So that's probably why it worked.
Yeah.
And you showed the daily grind, the ups and downs, the pop-ups. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's incredible, actually. I'm very proud of that. Okay. So fast forward to now.
Yeah.
You're going to open a location somewhere. Where is that going to be?
Yeah. We're opening in Frogtown. It's right near Wax Paper, which is a really great sandwich shop. Lauren and Peter, the best. Yeah, we open in like 2 months. So we're going through inspections, and it was a complicated process. I don't know if I would say like, yeah, brick and mortar is super easy, but I think I have the right temperament. I'm very patient. I understand that, like, as you know, if you want something big done, it takes a very long time. Yeah.
We've had some pretty amazing brick and mortar owners here on this series, actually. So how many square feet is your place?
It's 1,000 inside, and we have a patio.
And then you're going to do what's going to be the use of it for the restaurant?
So
like not including the kitchen and all that.
Yeah, so it's a coffee program. We have a coffee program. We partner with Sight Glass. I'm doing obviously vegan pastries, morning stuff, breakfast, a little bit of lunch.
So you're going full, like food, everything. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Not just vegan pastries.
No, I love savory stuff. So I feel like breakfast is my favorite food, and that's been the most challenging with vegan. Is like I love eggs, so how do you make something satisfying in the morning? And I found that like everything was sweet. Everything was a donut. Everything's a muffin. I was like, I want something like breakfast. So I think that's what I'm probably most known for, is like these savory things. Yeah.
Are you able to talk about how you got to? How did you raise capital from the 30,000 to now?
Okay, so
because you can't just open a retail store out of nowhere. Even
no.
I mean, 30,000 isn't even enough. Yeah. So.
You know, I think going back to like being completely transparent and very vulnerable, I asked a few angel donors. I said, you know, I'm a woman. It's really difficult to get a loan. I love that you've been supportive, but I need like a big push, basically a loan. So I have one person in particular who gave me a huge push, and she was like, yeah, I just really appreciate how vulnerable you were.
Was she one of the Kickstarter people too, or no?
She had donated a little bit, but I didn't want to ask her. I was like, I'm in this position where somebody wants to give me money, but they want most of my business.
Right.
They want equity, a huge part. And I was like, I work so hard, and like, I can't let it go. So I called her, and I was like, I don't want to ask you, but I'm gonna ask you, and say no, it's okay. And she was like, I believe in you. You're gonna be great. Here you go. So it's called an angel donor. So if you have somebody in your life that's an angel donor, I didn't know I had her in my life until I really needed her, you know.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Oh.
I mean, we interview a lot of people, and that's pretty incredible. So first of all, you started.
Uh-huh.
You asked.
Yeah.
And then you get to Frogtown.
Uh-huh.
Which some people don't know where Frogtown is, but it's an upcoming, very highly coveted neighborhood.
Yeah.
Kind of bordering Highland Park and the 5, I would say, like
Atwater and
Atwater,
Silver Lake.
right.
Yeah, yeah. And by the way, growing up there, like in Echo Park, Silver Lake, whatever, Frogtown was not chill.
What's the population of Frogtown? I mean, it's very small, too.
It's small. It's very, like, you know, mom and pop.
But, I mean, it's become a destination because of Salazar, and, like, there's that coffee shop there. And,
Spoke,
right?
yeah.
Right? Yeah.
But also there's, like, incredible artists down there.
Madarnica is down there. Yeah.
Decor.
Right.
I mean, there's Wax Paper. There's a Future Classic is over there, the record label.
Right. Amazing.
Shepard Ferry. Brad Pitt's supposed to be running around there. I don't know what he's doing there, but he's there. Yeah.
How was Brad?
I don't know. I hope he comes to just what I needed. Just once. Just once.
So you're going to open a business.
Yeah.
How do you hire your staff? How do you deal with, like, what does that cost? Like, what does it cost to get a business with staff, and how many hours are you who's managing it?
Me. Yeah, I am. I'm managing.
Okay.
Yeah.
You
and
got
baking.
a lot of work.
Managing, baking, hiring. Yeah, you have to pay your dues, right? If you're starting out, you really pay your dues.
So are you planning on being open till like 3? Or are you going to try to be open like?
We're going to be open later. Yeah. We're
Oh,
hoping
wow.
till like 7.
You got a lot of work ahead of you.
I have so much work. I love it. I'm lucky. I'm so lucky that I get to do this work. You know, there's so much work that's unfulfilling. There's so much stuff that I've done that I didn't really care about. And this, I like, every time I have a problem, I'm like, oh, cool. Like, oh, how do I do this? You know, like it's a different mindset once you find something that you really like.
Well, you're passionate about it.
Yeah.
passion doesn't always equal an income, unfortunately.
Sure.
But it helps.
Doesn't.
It's magical when it works, right?
Definitely. I mean, I've been broke for 3 years, but it doesn't matter. My quality of life is like.
Well, there's a couple things. James, I'm gonna get you in a minute. I swear.
James.
No, I'm actually because I don't really know you, so this is really cool for me. You have another job though.
Yeah.
Okay, that's one of the most important things that I think people don't understand. I think people would go on Kickstarter, take $30,000, go on vacation, pay themselves, go to the Ritz-Carlton in Dana Point. I mean, like,
sure.
You're actually working your ass off.
Yeah.
The entire time.
Yeah. I mean, I don't have one job. I have many jobs. I'm catering.
But that's what it takes.
Oh yeah.
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 That's amazing. Okay, so are you planning a continuing once this restaurant opens, or is it going to be like a case-by-case basis, or are you quitting everything to start the business?
I'm quitting
everything. Well, the
everything.
retail store. Yeah.
Quitting everything to start the business, of course. I mean, it's like I'm building my dream kitchen. So I get to test and like.
But basically the entire year you've been working.
Oh, I never stopped working. I don't know.
That's amazing.
People out there, like, just because you get 30 grand, I mean, that wasn't my money. It was an oven.
Well, if you ask someone if that's a lot of money, to someone it's a lot, to someone else it's not.
Totally, yeah.
I mean, it's all in perspective, right? But I think the fact that you kept working is amazing. Kudos to you. So let's go back to James.
I love your story. That's fantastic. Like, I'm really
God, I really
by
picked
that.
a good one this week.
Yeah, I'm like.
The funny thing is, I asked her, and she's like, "I don't think my story's that cool, but okay."
No, I mean, that story's amazing. Like, listening to it, I'm familiar with Little Ripper. It's right down the street from where I live, and I know that they started as a Kickstarter, right? So in my head, I'm like, oh, I wonder, did you learn anything from them? Were you able to pick their brain? And so that's just very cool. Like, so many Kickstarters they're nonsense. It's a lot of stuff for just like, oh, I'm gonna make this book, and you might get a copy of it. But to do something like you're doing is, it's just super impressive. So congratulations. And Frogtown is great. I don't know if you saw the plans for what, the proposals for what the city want to do with the LA River and that green space right there.
Yeah.
Like, you're getting in when the getting's good, and I think like you made a very good decision in picking that place. Like, it's gonna be popping.
It's a very underserved area.
Yeah, but it's a lot of business's timing, right? Like, the success that she's going to have is because she's getting in there now before everyone else is going to try and get in there. Now,
right.
The challenges you'll have later is when your landlord's like, hey, your rent's going up 300%, but you have enough time then to build that capital to manage that, or say, okay, cool, I'm going to move to a bigger space in Echo Park now. But yeah, that's fantastic. I love that story. It's great. And you're doing what you love, which, I love T-shirts, but I don't love them that much.
Someone just asked me if you could cater her wedding. Right now on Instagram story. 100%. Actually, I know her too, Melissa. So look at that. Boom.
Boom. Yeah.
James.
Yeah.
Your story's pretty crazy. I mean, I think what people want to know is like, I feel like the environment you're in, Golden Voice is a giant company, but
right.
A lot of what you do leads up to one event.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if that's, I know it's a clockwork turning company the whole time, but that major
the bulk of my time and effort is based around 6 days in April.
Right.
So
how
large.
do you, first of all, you and I have worked together for, I don't know, 6, 7 years, 8 years.
Pretty much every year.
How do it's hard to find someone like you. I think you'd be like a dream client for a lot of people, but also you don't want to be bothered. I feel like there's a balance of like, so he has so many people that want to work with him, right? Because of the moniker of the name. But how do you balance out, I think you and I had a relationship through John Halperin.
Right.
Originally, that was so long ago, but do you work with people that you know? How do people get in? Like, it seems like impossible.
So
it's like a dream for
Yeah, I get a lot of people knocking on my door.
Right, and you deal with brands.
I deal with brands.
Slowly slide in through.
Yeah, and I deal with sponsorship. It's like I find this exciting small brand that I want to work with, but then I have this overarching deal that they paid 6 figures to be involved in the show, and that means you can't do anything with anything you really want to do. But going back to what you were saying, like my overarching business philosophy, if you will, is to be easy to work with. Like what we do and what everyone in this room does with their job is hard enough.
So if you're a vendor listening.
Yes, if you're a vendor listening, just be easy to work with. Like I'm going to hit you with a million problems. I'm going to hit you with stuff last minute. I'm going to hit you with last minute changes. You know, working with you, I can't getting approvals on things through the layers of producers and owners and artists and everything that I work with. It takes time. Those people don't care until it's time when I tell them, hey, guess what? If you don't make this decision in 2 hours, it's not happening. Right? So having a vendor or a
vendor needs to know
that that's going to happen.
Either you make it or you don't at that point.
Yeah. And
you'll have someone else that will do it more than likely.
Exactly. Yeah. There's a million people knocking down my door.
Right.
But I tend to work with people who are easiest to work with, right? Like if you make my life easier, my job is so overarching. And to give you some ideas, like this year for the festival, I hired 325 people to work the 9 days, because I also do Stagecoach out there, to work 9 days out there. So I have to, and I'm not, I do delegate some of this out, but I'm signing every piece of paper. I'm doing all these things in addition to managing the production for everything that we make and sell, in addition to managing all the artists sending in all their stuff that we're going to sell on their behalf and owning that inventory. So what I need from my vendors is just be easy to work with. Like answer when I call. Give me a solution. You know, the other thing I always tell the people that work for me, I know what all the problems are before you know what the problems are. So you come to me with the solution to that problem. Like, don't come to me with the problem because I see it coming.
Either you deliver or you don't.
Come to me and say, this is happening. This is what I think we should do. And 9 times out of 10, I'm just going to let you run with it.
I think we've gone through that about 20 times.
Exactly. No, and that's the perfect example. Like, you've called me and said, hey, this is happening. This is how we can fix it. And I'm like, well, let's figure it out. You know, in the end, it's just, you know, we're on such a tight timeline with a lot of things. You know, like I said, I have a 6-day window to sell everything I can.
Well, I think what's interesting about your business is that I look at your department as a business within a business.
Exactly, yeah.
Because what people don't realize is that all this merchandise, all the inventory is actually part of a purchase that you guys make that you're hoping everyone will buy.
Yep.
So if you don't sell every piece,
it's a sunk cost.
It's stock.
Yeah, it's done. And
most people don't. I mean, you probably sell like a majority of it, but maybe you don't.
Yeah, I mean, our sell-through is really solid. I'm very happy with it.
But you're trend forecasting. You're anticipating.
Yep.
I mean, I think, you know, we used to meet in like August or September, or we try to.
Yeah.
For April.
Yep. Yeah. And
you've got I think you've got an incredible design team and stuff like that too, but you have the ability to.
You have to plan for it.
Look at all those people.
And one of the things I run into in my job is I am the only person in my entire company that does what I do. Everyone else is a talent buyer, a booker. We promote concerts. We're a concert promoting company. We put on festivals and events. We do production, things like that. I'm the only one in the company that makes goods. So my timeline is completely different. Like, I can call, you know, we've got 3 weeks. We've got a space in downtown LA. We need to do a show. Great. Call a tent rental company. You call stage rental companies. You call a sound company. You're getting everything done. To make the T-shirts for that,
right?
Good luck, right? Yeah. So it presents a unique set of challenges that I have to overcome every year. And it's also making the people that I work for understand what those challenges exactly are and why they need to be met.
That's actually really good insight.
Yeah, it's a balancing act, right? Like, you've got your finance people that are like, why am I paying someone in 2019 for a project that's not happening until 2020?
Right.
And I explained to them, well, I have to make it in China. Chinese New Year is in February. Our show's in April. So if I don't get that started, like you and I have had this discussion before, if I don't get it started in November, it's not going to land.
Right.
You know, and it's something that I really want to do. And it's a challenge.
Well, the other thing that sets you apart is you make legit merchandise.
Yeah.
I mean, this isn't like going to like the Warped Tour.
No.
You know what I mean?
No,
like, I mean, this is like pajamas, robes, flannels, board shorts, Hawaiian shirt. I mean,
we're designing stuff from the ground up.
Not only do you have, you know, people like who was it, H&M or Zara? That
we had H&M that we worked with.
You have
in
licensing,
the past.
but you have actually on-site product that you could find in like the same stores with all these other guys.
Yeah, we've done things like I said, like we've done a flannel pajama set. Like we designed it from scratch. You helped out on that. Like I do satin jackets that with custom embroidery. We've done custom denim pieces.
And those are done in Mexico City, right?
Yeah, we do a lot of stuff
cool.
down in Mexico now. We've done windbreakers, but it's all designed from the ground up and super exclusive to the event and to Coachella. So it's not something that is off the rack and just screen printed. I mean, we have plenty of that, and that's, if I'm being honest, that's the bulk of the business, right? The bulk of the business is a screen printed T-shirt. My margin's insane on it.
Right.
Awesome, all day. Hoodies are great. Like they pay for everything else.
But I think telling a story is when you're bringing all the other stuff.
Yeah,
the novelty items.
And Coachella's the anomaly in the business. I do between 12 and 20 festivals a year. And with Coachella, I have the opportunity to really chase things that are special because it is the leading brand in the industry. It needs to be special.
By far.
By far, yeah.
I mean, by a landslide.
And so I have the opportunity to really like, cool, I can do 100 of this piece, overpay, you know, my cost is going to be crazy on it, but I also know that I'm going to make up for that somewhere else, right?
It's
sort of a loss leader in a way.
It's an interesting way to do business because I think part of the Coachella brand is also quality.
Yep, absolutely.
And so you can actually get away with paying a premium price and making less of a margin.
Yep.
I've seen you do this many times.
Yep.
But you still come out all right.
Yeah, because in the end, it's like we're not carrying the inventory.
In the same boat with that.
Well, we're not carrying our goods year over year, right? So I just need to get rid of it. So if I make a piece that's like super special, right? A custom jacket, for example. We'll just throw that out there. I'm not going to charge your normal Keystone retail. I'm not going to like charge double what the cost is to make it. I'm going to charge what I think I can do to still make money on it and get rid of it. So it's those two things that I'm looking at. Because again, I have 6 days.
You have a store that's open 6 days a year.
My store is open 6 days a year.
But you do have online stuff too, right?
We do. We limit it. And a lot of it's because a lot of those decisions are because Coachella is about the event. And some of the decision-making process is, if you're going to spend the $400 for a general admission ticket to come to the show, then you should have the opportunity to buy it, right? Like you've done the work. You're getting the hotel room. You're
11 months in advance. Or whatever. Yeah.
When it goes on sale before you even know what the lineup is. Like kids are buying these tickets.
I've never bought a ticket. Just saying.
Neither have I. But what I want to do is like reward those people.
Right.
Those people should have first shot at everything, right? But what we've
it's part of the experience.
Yeah, but what we've started to do now is through our app is sell some of the goods on the app. Not all of them, but a group,
that's
like a choice. And it has been really good business because it's available to everybody around the world. So we've seen a lot of growth. That's one place where, you know, our attendance has sort of plateaued. Like we can only fit so many people into the festival each year. So when you think I've got 125,000 people each weekend, how can I actually get my gross dollars up? Like, how does that actually happen? And the only way to do it is to expand outside of those people. There's so many more people that don't go to the festival than do.
Right.
So reaching them.
Or they aspire to be a part of the brand.
Right, and they want to be part of the brand.
Right.
And, you know, you mentioned Instagram earlier. I think the biggest change and the biggest sort of growth spurt for Coachella was Instagram. So and it's a really defining moment for us because once Instagram hit, it was basically free marketing.
Yeah.
You know, and
the Ferris wheel,
the sunset,
every influencer in the entire world.
And when you go now to the show, you see the influence that Instagram has had on the way people experience the festival.
Right.
And what it's meant to my business, my side of the business is, when people take something home, it's not just the experience at the festival. They want to be able to show people later on that, oh, this is me with my Coachella souvenir that I have that nobody else has.
And it's different every year, which is kind of cool.
And it's different every year.
So someone might go, oh, you were there 2017.
Exactly.
Or,
I always tell everybody, like, every time I'm in the airport, I see a Coachella shirt. Without fail. Like, without fail.
College kid from Florida, hemp anklet.
Yeah. It doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter what airport even.
Everyone goes, yeah.
But,
like, I mean, if you're in LA, you go.
Yeah.
Pretty much someone goes on a weekend. A handful of people we all know go.
Which is probably the most rewarding part of the job, right? Like, I am creating people's memories that they're taking home from this event. Right. And for some people, it's extremely special. They have this relationship with the festival.
Right.
And that goes back to what you were saying about quality. Like, I don't want to give them things that aren't worth it. You know, the festival as a whole, we strive so hard to, like, give people the best experience.
It's not cheap.
It's not cheap.
I mean, okay, so a ticket costs what nowadays? I don't
like
even know.
$400.
So you ticket.
VIP is like $1,200.
The weekend of hotels.
Yep.
All your cocktails and your food.
And
that's a legitimate
buy.
It's
a buy. It's it's $1,000 weekend.
The cool thing is you guys have
kid.
Wide variety, a wide age demographic, I feel like, but I feel like the younger kids really like to go.
It's getting younger.
So, right.
Like each year,
that's a big
younger.
spend for them, is what I'm saying.
It is. Yeah. It's a big spend for a college kid. Your average college kid is going to have a hard time dropping $1,000 to $1,500 on a weekend to do anything.
And usually people buy 2 tickets because they don't want to go by.
They don't want to go alone.
Yeah.
But we also do a layaway plan.
Oh, cool.
You know, like you can set up a layaway plan to buy tickets, and you know, like I said, there's just this devoted group of kids that are like, we're going to go no matter what happens with the lineup, and then the lineup will bring in the rest. You know.
Right.
But
cool. Okay, let's go back to you for a minute. Question. How much do you think it's going to cost to run your business?
Oh, that's a really good question.
Did you sit down with your angel gal and figure it out?
No, I did it by myself. I'm
curious, like, are you going in this just on the cuff? Did you plan this out?
No, I planned it out.
Okay.
Right now, it's on the basis that I take the managerial salary that would usually be placed on somebody, which would be a huge.
Oh, that's great. Okay.
Yeah, it would be a huge.
Well, first, first of all, that's a giant opportunity. Most people don't get paid.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you have to survive. I get that. But
so
you created a business with your angel, and you said, "Hey, I'm going to pay myself."
Yeah, a very small salary.
Still, that's huge.
Just so I could live,
right?
Obviously. And
that doesn't happen to everyone, though.
No.
Just saying. So that's a big opportunity.
I mean, and I feel like because I've partnered with somebody else, you know, I have this partner who is making pizza. We're sharing a kitchen, which I think more and more people are going to do. Rent is so expensive. I mean, it's LA. I could never afford to run a business in my own hometown of Echo Park or whatever. You know, I couldn't afford it. So we kind of came up with this thing like, could we share a kitchen and run 2 businesses out of it? And we're like, yeah, we're going to do that because it's going to cut the rent in half. We're going to have one dishwasher or like the same guy washing dishes. Like I think if you don't have a lot of money and you really want to open up a business, you got to get really creative. And you got to work hard. So you're asking me like a number amount?
No,
how much it's
you
going
don't need to tell me that. But I'm curious because we've had a lot of restaurateurs and coffee, the owner of Jones Coffee, his spoke here, Chuck Jones. Yeah. What, for someone that wants to start a similar, whatever category they're in, whether it's baked goods or pizza or whatever, what do you think it costs to start your type of business?
I mean, plan on at least needing $100,000.
Okay. That's a good number.
Yeah. I mean, we built something from the ground up. So that's way more expensive.
Right. And you're talking 1,000 square feet and you had to add a kitchen, all the other stuff in the back that wasn't there.
Kitchen, plumbing, electrical, all the health departments. If you're grandfathered
so that's like 40,000 right there.
At least, yeah.
Right.
I mean, we have beautiful, like, amazing landlords who took a lot of the TI for us. It's tentative improvements because they were like, we really believe in you. Like, we want you to, like, succeed. So we're going to do, and they're architects. So it was easy for them to kind of pull those connections and kind of teach me.
So for someone that's starting out, when you sign a lease,
yeah,
a lot of times you either get help from the owner or you don't of the building, right?
Yeah.
Or you try to make it so that Because that's a cost you're going to have to build. That's a line item that you're going to basically, it's not going to change.
Yeah.
Right? So are you in a long enough lease to justify? I'm trying to think of what people are going to say. You don't have to get too.
Yeah, no, I mean, we have a few 5-year options.
Okay.
Which is good. And honestly, when I started this business, I thought, like, 5 years, that's so much, you know. But my partner is 61 years old. His family has owned restaurants for 20, 30 years. His dad was a baker. I mean, he was like, no, girl, we got to, he said that, no, girl, we got to, you got to ask for as much time as you can, especially if you really believe in what you're doing. And so luckily I had him to kind of mentor me through this. So I think if you're starting a small business, you really need somebody, even if you could just call them, that has done this before. A mentor, yeah. I mean, somebody said, like, you need to have a mentor, and I didn't even realize my friend, Hermano, who's my mentor, I guess, was my mentor. He was just kind of
Why don't you shout him out? Who is he?
Hermano Navile from Il Capriccio Cafe in Los Feliz.
Which restaurant. I have some guests here that actually love El Capriccio on Vermont and Los Feliz.
Do you?
This group right here. Yeah.
Everything
Italian
is
food.
made from scratch. It's delicious. It's family owned.
I had a good experience there, as you know. We talked about it earlier.
Yeah. They're a little gruff, but they're
actually,
wonderful.
The lasagna is bomb, though.
Everything is bomb. They're like, they really love what they do. They're there every day. They're, you know, the father is, was a baker, was brought from Naples to work at Sardo's. I mean, he had these big glasses, and they all became allergic to flour. His father became allergic, Hermano became allergic, and they cannot touch flour. And it's this weird thing. So they love that I'm a baker. They're like, oh my God, you can touch flour. Yeah.
How do you make pizza when you can't touch flour?
He doesn't. He's 61 years old. He doesn't make he hires a guy to make the pizza. Yeah. He has me to make all the dough.
I would just be like, okay, come over at 6 o'clock and make pizza, please. Okay, that's interesting. So what I'm getting is you did a Kickstarter.
Yes.
You had a mentor.
Yes.
You didn't know you had a mentor, but you had a mentor.
I had a mentor. Yeah. I didn't know, but
That's actually happens a lot, I feel like. And then you raise some capital, and you're going into opening your own retail store / restaurant / are you going to be doing catering and all that other stuff you do out of there?
I'm open.
Are you still going to be selling to some of the stores you're selling to now? Are you going to be doing pop-ups? What's the future of that?
Definitely no more pop-ups. Let me tell you. Pop-ups are to pay your dues. They're difficult. You got to lug everything around.
Especially in the summer, it's like the worst.
In the summer, and then talk about not being able to sell your product. If you labeled everything and you hand-painted boxes and then no one buys them, you're just sitting there like, kind of sad. But no more pop-ups, but maybe catering. I mean, I'm open to see what customers want from me. You know, I'm going to provide a product. I'm going to provide, jobs and a vibe and a space. And if everyone tells me, actually, we don't want breakfast from you, we just love your cakes, then great, then let's do cakes. I've worked in this industry for since I was 14 years old. I understand, I'm not going to be stuck in my ways. I'm kind of curious to see, where does this go? How do people...
Every single person that's been on here has either worked for free or started at the bottom.
Yeah.
It's the same
important.
Thing. And actually, you're the same. Yeah.
I mean, how are you going to learn how to bartend if you don't bar back? And that's what I never understood in the restaurant industry is they would jump the line. And I'd be like, no, you have to, it'll make you a better bartender if you're the bar back, because then you know what the bartender needs. I mean, I feel like I've had every position now, even washing dishes, that now I'm like, oh, I know how to delegate. I know what that job is like. I have compassion. I'm like, I don't want to stretch my dishwasher 10 hours. That's not fair. That sucks. You know, 6 hours is max. I mean, that's crazy. I mean, there's little things you learn that you, like you said, you don't realize you learn.
Is your mentor going to lay out sort of what should be done for you? I mean, there's a lot that goes into running a restaurant and a business. And
I think we play off each other really well. You know, I mean, I've ran a couple.
I mean, he's going to know how many cups of coffee you should sell a day and how many.
No, that's me.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I love numbers, statistics. I mean, he's also good at that too. I don't know. He's a good partner. He's a good partner.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I think I'm gonna introduce you to Chuck Jones just because I think you guys should know each other, and he's very analytical about coffee and stuff like that. So I think,
rad.
What advice would you give to someone that's starting out?
Advice.
Now in your business, not in Kickstarter, but
now
just
in my
in
business.
General. We've already you've worked your brains out.
Yeah.
You start at the bottom. You did a Kickstarter on a whim. You made cakes in your kitchen. I mean, how much more from starting from the bottom can you be, right?
Yeah. I mean, can I tell you a story really quick?
Of course.
So I'm baking from my house. I have all these accounts. And I move to a place with no oven. And the oven isn't working, and I'm like, oh my God, I have to deliver. So I sneak back into my old apartment with all my equipment. They haven't rented it. They rent it the next day. Just take everything, I bake everything, I clean everything up, and leave.
No way.
So I just think, like,
that's
the
hilarious.
advice is, if you like doing something that much, just keep toiling at it. Keep pushing. I mean, eventually paths will kind of open, but I think I had no fear. It was hard. It was not easy. It was stressful. But, like, don't have fear in something that you like to do. I mean, the alternative is doing something you hate, which why do that? Be around people that are doing good things, like big things, or at least have big ideas. Because that really helped me when I thought, oh, I'm pushing myself, or maybe I won't, nothing will come of this. They were like, no, more. And it did. It really lifted me up. So. Yeah.
Sorry, having ideas and working through them, even if they don't come to fruition, gives you insight to the process.
Totally.
Right? And it helps you, like, manage what's feasible and what's not. Like, I use running as meditation, right? I go out and I run, and I'll come up with the worst ideas and the best ideas while I'm doing it. And some of those ideas I'll chase down, and some of them, when I take a step back and actually look at it, I go, that's the worst idea you ever had. But it's important to go through that process, because the process is sort of the reward. It's like it's a kind of a Buddhist thing, but it's like the process is the reward of living, right? Is learning and going through these things to get to your reward. And your reward is your restaurant and your cafe now. And it's like you probably had a million ideas that you're not going to do to get to that point.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I mean, the reward is that I get to do this. I mean, the alternative is, like, if you don't come from a lot, I don't know. There was nobody that worked in restaurants, nobody that wanted to do what I was doing. Everyone's saying that, like, I wanted to go to art school. Like, you can't, don't do that.
Did you go to college?
I went to SF State, but I dropped out after a year. They were, like, striking when I was there, and I was like, I'm paying for it, and I don't want to just sit outside while you guys are striking. I also didn't like San Francisco. I'm, like, a total LA girl, but
yeah. I like you more now.
Yeah.
San Francisco's rad.
Sorry, San Francisco.
No. I worked for free for 2 years.
Did everybody drop out here?
Well, do we count University of Phoenix as dropping out? I have a question for James. James?
Yes.
I think we all know you have a dream job.
I do?
I mean, to the outsider's perspective, I know you work your ass off, but how does someone get... I think you recapping, you worked your way up from the bottom again, right? And you kind of got your fingers placed in a bunch of stuff in the beginning.
Right.
You sort of got lucky in your job, it sounds like. You just kind of asked someone and they had an opening.
And it goes back to dropping out of college. So I dropped out of school to go on tour with the band as a tour manager. And the person who convinced me to drop out of college happens to be one of the producers for Coachella.
Right.
So luck plays such a role in everything that we do.
But you were working the whole time.
But I was working the whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was never like... I mean, there were a few times when I was just... And my wife will tell you that I was just sort of like mindlessly just getting a paycheck, right? But this job has engaged everything I did in the lead up to it. Like, I use all the parts of every job I've ever had. My first job, I was in 8th grade working at a store in the mall, working in retail. And it goes all the way back to that. I'm using principles that I learned as an 8th grader, counting shipments as they came in for a hat store. Like, that's what I did. And, life is education. And all of these little things you've learned, whether it's learning how to manage an inventory, learning how to manage a relationship, it's all important. And I don't, we have kids. I have a 6-year-old, and, I'd love for her to go to college. I'm planning on her going to college. But if she doesn't go to college, it's not the end of the world, right? You can get life skills. You can fight your way through. You can work hard.
Well, I think the
it might
education
take you
system's
longer.
changing. It'll be much different than it is now.
I agree, but I think the point is, for someone like you, a little bit younger than us, you are able to do it.
Don't
you can
ask
still do it.
Okay. Don't ask.
Don't ask. But you can still do it. Like, it still exists. Like, you don't have to.
Or if you're our age, which is very old,
right?
You can still do it.
You can still do it.
Yeah.
I mean, look, in addition to Coachella, I also own a business. So I own a business basically doing what I do with Coachella.
Here comes a plug, and you can find him at.
No, I'm not even going to plug it. It's very B2B. It's very, like, inside music industry. But what we do is, like, a kid who worked for me, I trusted him. He was really young. I was like, look, like, I get people calling me all the time to do all these different shows. I'm like, I can't do them all, so let's build a business together. And we have. And it's successful. It's good. It's tiring. I travel way too much. It's a lot of work. But the growing pains are going to be worth it in the end, because now I own something, right? Whereas Coachella, I don't own any of Coachella. You know, I get a Coachella email address. You know, I get to tell people I work at Coachella, and it opens a lot of doors for me. But in the end,
but you're working.
But I am working,
and you have a business.
And a business.
That's a big takeaway from today, I think.
It's
and for both of
us, because you're working and have a business, and you have to commit.
There's this fantasy, because everyone's a CEO or entrepreneur on Instagram.
Oh, absolutely.
And I think, you know, most CEOs I know don't have a Ferrari.
No.
I mean, or
I have a Subaru.
Go with all their friends and, you know, go down to Newport with their Lamborghini. I mean, it's really, I think the reality is you have a really good job.
Right.
You had fun jobs and possibly good jobs, right? And you learned and you started a business and you're still working until.
Well, and I think something else too that I sense from her and from me as well is, like, we weren't just satisfied with having a job.
Exactly.
Like, and part of it is living in Los Angeles, right? We live in a city that's extremely expensive to live in. So in order to be able to do some of the things we want to do for our families, for ourselves, it takes extra effort. And it takes a personality.
If you want to buy a vegan treat,
like, if
you're talking $8 right now.
If I want to go to Little Ripper and have a coffee and a treat and take my daughter with me, you know, it's a $12 trip, and it is a luxury, right? But I think not being satisfied is one of the things that all successful people have. Like, it's never like, oh man, I did it. Wasn't it so great? No, it's like, oh man, I did it. Like, well, this was terrible. This was terrible. How can we fix this? How can we fix this? What are we going to do next time? And I think that that's a thread through everyone who's successful, is not being satisfied, right? And pushing yourself even if nobody else is pushing you.
That's a key. Good. Any questions? Egan, you got one? I knew he would. I knew he would have a question. I'm actually going to repeat it when you ask it, okay? So people can hear it.
One of our portfolio companies, we just bought a large commercial bakery. And we have about 200 employees and so forth. So we do a lot of product. We don't do any vegetarian product. Have you thought about collaborating with
The question was, are you going to collaborate with bakeries with your vegan products that don't traditionally make vegan products, right?
You know, I've never been asked that, but
that's actually an amazing question, and the fact that you've never been asked that, I think vegan and gluten-free are the most underserved. Well, not where we live. I mean, in Highland Park and
different.
I mean, where we live, it's not, but for the masses, right? Like, imagine going to the airport and you're in, like, Colorado and they have vegan and gluten-free croissants.
That'd be crazy.
It doesn't exist, right?
I mean, I would definitely be open to collaborating with somebody, especially on a larger scale. I mean, the whole point of being a vegan baker and talking to people and being very candid about what my process is that I want more people to do what I'm doing. I want it's for the environment. You know, it's not just like a trend or something. It's like, I want people to understand that they can make a business off of vegan products, you know? Like, there are easy ways to kind of supplement, like eggs, milk, butter, and it's just better for everybody, you know, as far as resources. So I would definitely be...
it's a necessity for some people too.
Definitely. Oh
Right.
yeah. I mean, there's
So
a
it's
lot
an
of kids
allergy
that
or
are
it's a
allergic to eggs, which is
Right.
really cute when they
celiac,
come and they're.
all that other stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, to answer your question is yes, I would be open to collaborating for vegan stuff.
One more comment. Here it comes. Do you mean CBD or? Okay. Well, I don't know. Wellness products.
Well, and I think that veganism and health has moved from a niche market to being a lifestyle, right? So, right, and you get to utilize her knowledge. You get her brain with your scalability.
Yeah.
Brain, maybe brand, little brain, and then you get to scale your product, right?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure. Hypothetically, yeah.
Good question. And then James can brand it.
Wow,
Yeah.
we just came up with a new business right here, guys.
And I'll story it for you.
Great.
Any other questions? All right. You guys are pretty quiet out there. Shuri, did you want to say something? I love calling people out. Yes. How many people attend Coachella?
About 125,000 a weekend, so we're at about 250,000 unique individuals.
Cool. All right, I think we're done. Are we done? Oh,
Justin.
Justin's got a question. Okay, we're going to start over from scratch. And no. Adam, did you have a question? You did, didn't you? I thought I saw your hand raise. No? Okay. All right, we're done. Thank you, everyone.